I'm Steve Johnson, News Director for the Dove TV. Check out our other videos and visit our website at theDove.us. Thanks.
Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and boy, am I delighted to have back with us today somebody that has a story here that is just stunning. And hopefully you'll buckle your seatbelts and ride with us today, because we are delighted to have back with us Walid Shoebat, former PLO and Muslim Brotherhood member, but now peace activist. We've had the honor of having him before, and his son. But Walid, I heard you on Mark Levin the other day, and it was one of those moments in radio where I got to where I was going, and I had to stay in the car to finish listening to you. And it was a stunning story that you shared with us, his audience, about the Islamic human slaughterhouses for Christians. Amazing. Good to see you. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you. I'm very well.
Well, fill us in on this. I don't even know where we start. It's hard to believe that this is going on, but share with us about these slaughterhouses.
Well, I always monitor the Middle East for the persecution of Christians, because we run an organization called Rescue Christians. And as I was looking at this report that was covered by Arab media, Al Jazeera covered some of it, nobody covered the full thing. They covered an interview of an FSA soldier named Saif al-Adlubi. Saif al-Adlubi was in the FSA. He's a Muslim fundamentalist himself, and he was arrested by the ISIS. The ISIS is the Islamic group that basically covers the Levant and Syria. They're the most extremist group that want to basically take over the whole Levant region, which is Iraq and Syria. They're the most extremist group, of course. And as he was giving his testimony, and he got out of the prison system because the FSA had invaded that prison, and in the last moments he was released. And in the story he tells, it was quite astonishing. I couldn't believe what he was saying, because he was saying that he witnessed human slaughterhouse. I believe that prison system he was in is in Adana, and they had this human slaughterhouses separate from the local neighborhoods, if you will. It's a secluded place where there is no homes around. They set up these human slaughterhouses. And they have kangaroo courts in which he was accused of being part of the media. I researched the guy. He was a blogger, and he considered himself an FSA media. He had his Facebook. He download stories of victories and what have you. And so he was considered media in the FSA. And since he was considered media, and he was considered then an infidel, and he was asking the court, what is my destiny here? Will I take 1 year prison, 2 year prison? They said, no. And the Arabic, they told him, Abshir bil-dhabh, which means the good news. You will be sacrificially slaughtered. And he described several cases he saw. One of them is a Christian Armenian, that there was the slaughterhouse, guy that was doing the slaughtering was feeling the necks of the row of people he's about to slaughter. Wow. And one was an Armenian, and he says, your neck is tender because you're an aged man. I wouldn't have to sharpen my blade.
Whoa.
Then he talked about how he witnessed how these people were slaughtered, hung upside down like sheep, disemboweled, and processed as if it's in a meat factory.
Whoa.
And then he was weighing the heads. He says they would weigh the heads. This is 5 kilograms. This head is 6 kilograms, and so on and so forth. And somebody would come, he was about to get slaughtered, but he was also working in the slaughterhouse, the human slaughterhouse. Of course, you see something like this, you don't believe it. Then you begin to investigate. Then you find out footage that confirms 100% what this guy is talking about in a different human slaughterhouse in Sib'a that was captured 3 years before And that slaughterhouse belonged to the FSA in its initial stage when it was first starting the revolution.
Wow.
So it was carried out by the FSA. So you have FSA also. And it was ran by a woman named Muhammad, a Sunni Muslim woman, who was doing the slaughtering. You can see the video, and a video is worth 1,000 words, the meticulous cutting of the heads and the limbs and everything else. And then I researched further, and I, get to my contacts that I have, Syrian contacts, and what I got is another footage of another slaughterhouse in Bayad, in which you see exactly as it Adlubi described, the men hanging like sheep in a slaughterhouse. And then I obtained another footage from an undisclosed slaughterhouse in which you have the victims lined up on their knees. And in this one, it was literally a ritual sacrifice in which they were given as a qurban to Allah. تقبل قربانك اللهم تقبل قربانك, he says. Lord, accept this offering as a sacrificial offering for you. And then he, تقبل منا, please accept the sacrificial offering, accept the sacrificial offering. They were doing a ritual. And then he says, Bismillah, in the name of Allah. And he commences firing in the back of the heads of these victims. And, most likely they get processed just like the others. And so we have at least 4 human slaughterhouses that we were obtained footage for, that a video is worth 1,000,000 words, a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000,000 words. There's no question what is going on here. It is miniatures of what happened during Nazi Germany, but with a much different style than Cyclone B and poison showers. Here we have a meat processing of human beings. And then what is disturbing is I've been investigating what's going on in Syria for a while, and I've obtained from media sources in the Middle East, which you can see in previous research I did, in which they had a spread of Kuru. There were several cases of Kuru disease. Let's not forget, Kuru is a disease that is extinct, because last they made it extinct was from Africa when they had cannibalism. They knew, and they researched it, and the most prominent expert in Kuru says it comes only through eating human flesh. So it looks like the meticulous cutting hands and limbs in the Sab'a farm was processed for meat, for the consumption of human beings. And so either this has been sold to people as regular beef, lamb, or they're eating it intentionally. We do not know at this stage. But what we do know is that the eating of human flesh has been sanctioned, and we have also researched that. It has been sanctioned by an imam in Egypt, in which he aired it on An-Nas, the most prominent Muslim TV in Egypt, and he aired the sanctioning on the TV of eating the flesh of your enemy so long you eat it raw. However, we also seen a man eating a lung. He was supposed to be eating the heart, couldn't find the heart, and I'm sure you've heard about that video. He was eating.
Right. My stars. Wow.
So now this all connects. It connects further because there's much coverage on that from the Muslim media in areas. Now, not all Muslims agree on this. They're divided on the issue of the cannibalism. But it doesn't matter. If major imams talk about cannibalism and sacrificial offerings, then it is sanctioned in many circles in the revolutionary areas in Syria.
All right. Let me ask you this, Walid. Is this primarily for Christians or people of other faith?
Oh, no. It's not just Christians. It's anyone who doesn't agree with the Takfiri ideology. That would be even FSA, who are Takfiris, but they're not extent enough with the Al-Nusra. With the FSA and Muhammad slaughterhouses, it was for Christians and for Shiites, because the Shia, they call them Rawafid. In other words, they're renegades. So it's anyone for renegades, not praying 5 times a day, not praying 3 times a day, forgetting to fast Ramadan. I mean, it could be for anything, any infractions here. So it is Shia doing it, Sunni doing it against Shia, and especially Christians. And so Christians are not immune. And we've seen also, I've documented it in public, one slaughter of a Christian in which he tried to save his life by publicly converting to Islam, by raising his index finger, because when you raise your index finger, you're denouncing the Trinity, because Christianity believes in Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So he raised the index finger and he gave the Shahadatan. I declare there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, regardless to his conversion. And the guy says, commence slaughter, and the guy slaughtered him like sheep in front of the whole public. That is also posted on my blog.
Whoa.
Even conversion doesn't work because he still has to pay for his sin. The reason they had him convert is so he can enter paradise. So it's complicated with the Islamic theology. In fact, now we can understand how the Armenians were slaughtered, because we had first-hand account. For example, you had Samuel Gridley Ho, who was a historical, he was present during the genocide, and he gave a historical sketch during the Greek Revolution, in which, I quote him, he says, though the blood of a Christian is an acceptable offering to Allah. Yeah. In other words, it's a sacrificial offering. And of course, the example given on An-Nas TV in Egypt is from the history of Islam, when Ja'ad ibn, when Khalid Abdullah al-Qasri ritually sacrificed Ja'ad ibn Darham in the place of an animal sacrifice in a mosque. You have to understand, in Islam we have Eid al-Adha, which is the festival of sacrifice. That's when the story of Abraham to sacrifice his son
Isaac,
Islam, but he replaced it with a human sacrifice, and he sacrificed Ja'ad ibn Darham, and that's the example they know. In fact, the human sacrifice in Islam is accepted by the most prominent Muslim forefathers, scholars, and from the Sunni sect.
Wow.
Bukhari, Al-Dhahabi, Al-Qiyam, Darmi, and Ibn Kathir.
Let me take a quick break here, Walid. We'll come back. This is absolutely stunning, and I'd like you to respond as to why it seems to be going silent. I mean, we're just not hearing about this. I mean, you would think the UN would get involved in this, but anyway, we're going to be back with Walid Shoebat in just a moment. By the way, your website, before we take a break, people want to go to it. Where is it?
Just as you spell the word shoe and the word bat, shoebat.com. Shoe and bat. shoebat.com, and the video is on the right side in the archived area of the website.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and our special guest today is Walid Shoebat, and former PLO and Muslim Brotherhood member, now a peace activist, and he's sharing with us something that's absolutely stunning, and it's going on as we speak, and I hope that you can process this. Let me encourage you to go to his website. It's an incredible resource, and that's shoebat.com. And check out his resources there, and share that with some friends. We're talking about slaughterhouses for Christians, Islamic human slaughterhouses for Christians. And it's hard to believe that this is going on, but it's true, it is, as gruesome as it is. And it's part of their theology. He can explain that. But Walid, I just stunned that the world, there isn't an outcry with this. It seems like it's below the radar.
Well, the story is reminiscent to the initial reporting of extermination of European Jewry. And of course, you know the history of that. That history will I predict that history will repeat itself when it comes to the Christians in Syria and Iraq. I don't know if you know of the history of how the slaughter of 6 million Jews.
Right.
Initially, nobody wanted to say anything, even though the information was known. When I can give you the example of Dr. Gerhard Regner, who was representative of the World Jewish Congress in Geneva, in Switzerland. He learned what was going on from a German source, just like as we learned it here. Of course, he asked the American diplomats, just as we did as well. We informed. We send it out to senators, and we're going to send it out to the Congress. He informed diplomats in Switzerland, who informed Rabbi Stephen Weiss, one of America's most prominent Jewish leaders, of the systematic killing centers, just like what happened here. But the State Department, characteristically, decided not to do anything about it, and decided to cover it under the rug, and informed Weiss not to say anything about it. The rabbi, nevertheless, took a while till they basically it was out of the bottle. But that's the same case, and the reason politically why government won't do anything about it is because we've taken the stand to be trying to remove a dictator named Bashar al-Assad. No, Bashar al-Assad isn't as bad as these guys. And so it proves then the policy of the U.S. regarding Syria has been proven to be a sham. These are not rebels. These are butchers. They're undescribable. And it shows that the policy was wrong. And so they don't want egg on their face. And so the war goes on against Bashar al-Assad. Removing dictators in the Middle East, I was for 2 decades against the idea, even during Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein is really, he committed slaughter in Halabja, poison-gassed Kurds.
Right.
I still was against it because I knew it would be worse. And the situation of Iraq is similar. Those things extend to Iraq as well. It's not just in Syria. The news is yet to come out from Iraq. And so we removed Muammar al-Qaddafi. How's Libya doing? Pretty terrible. Egypt, we had a Muslim Brotherhood revolution. I was right. I was in Fox News. I remember even the problem is not only on the left, it's on the right too, because I remember I was in with David Asman on Fox News. I was chewed out by David Asman on Fox News. While you know how they split the screen, they had this other Egyptian guy saying the revolution was wonderful. We were holding hands, Copts and Sunni and all that stuff. And I said, no, this is going to be a winter. It's going to be terrible. It's going to plunge Egypt into the dark ages. I was right. Everyone else was wrong. That's why I always say, usually the few are right about stuff. Noah was right if you believe in the story of Noah, right. And the world drowned. So, facts and truth is, I talked about Syria's chemical weapon issues, and all these experts says, what do you know about chemical weapons? I was right. It was used by the rebels. Still, till today, we don't have really definite answers that Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons. We have definite answers.
I don't think there's an American on the face of the earth right now that understands what our foreign policy is. If anything, it seems to be pro-Islamic.
Well, it's pitting Shia against Sunni and pitting Sunni against Shia. That's what it is. It's pitting one party against the other. In fact, I find that to be also in Sudan even. I investigated in Sudan, South Sudan. You have Barack Obama, his brother Malik Obama, meets with Keir Silva and does things and acts as a diplomat, in fact. He's in Macedonia acting as a diplomat, talking about his brother, Barack Hussein Obama, the president. And he does much influence in raising funds and recruiting extremist Muslims in Africa to go to Wahhabi schools. That's a whole long story that takes hours. In fact, it's been going on for a year without my investigation, showing with ample evidence, this kind of thing. Lewis Lerner giving him a 501c3 on a Sunday, for Pete's sake, as an urgent thing, that he needs to raise funds for what? What are they raising funds for? We traced the funds. We showed everything. We showed him, donning even a Hamas kafiyah, where Israel is portrayed from the river to the sea.
Yeah.
The country's run amok, and we're in serious trouble.
Well, share with us quickly your story. How did you go from PLO and Muslim Brotherhood to where you are now? What happened in your life that converted you out of that?
Well, I was involved in much trouble when I was during my youth in Israel. And of course, CNN tries to say I never planted a bomb, I never was in prison, but I dare anyone to bring any document or interview with any police officers in Israel, not in the Palestinian arena, from my relatives. They lie. And I had relatives who didn't lie. In fact, I showed their testimony, showing I was who I am. So I was involved in trouble when I was a young kid in the PLO, and was a terrorist, was imprisoned, came to the US and was in Chicago, was disenfranchised with being a PLO operative because we had sectarian divide even then between the Jordanians and the PLO. And so we wanted something more puritanical, and Islam united us all. So Jamal Saeed was ripe for this kind of mission. Jamal Saeed was a colleague of Abdullah Azzam, the godfather of Al-Qaeda. And that was during the 80-81, and he was recruiting for Muslim Brotherhood. We joined. And then in 1993, I began to review my life as a challenge from my wife, because I told her the Bible has been corrupted, so on and so forth. And she asked me for proof. I purchased the Bible for $10, read it, and I spent a year studying it. I was fascinated with what I found, It changed my hatred towards the Jew. I believe the Jew has a right to Israel for several reasons. And I became an advocate for Israel, for the Jewish people, and began to speak out. And that's when I ran into trouble. When I was a terrorist, it was okay. I was called a freedom fighter. Now that I've changed my views and began to kind of fight for my Christian faith.
Yeah.
And I am a Christian. If you go to my blog, you're going to find a lot of Christian arguments. I have arguments between Catholic, Protestant. I have argument. I'm not a secular person. I began to also witness what happened to Christians and see that the major organizations, while they were in the awareness business, they were not in the real action business. Wow. So we are awareness and action. One Christian I was trying to help in Pakistan, calling all these agencies, and God bless them, they're good people, all these other agencies, but they don't actually take Christians out of harm's way. They give them blankets and they give them Bibles. Well, if a person is drowning, I don't send him a Bible on the end of a rope. I send him a tire. I bring him out, then I'll give him a Bible.
Yeah, right, got it, yeah.
And so we rescued 2,000 Christians in Pakistan. And in fact, before you guys called me, I was with Sister Hatun Dogan was calling me on Skype. She wanted to give me her report in Syria. We support Sister Hatun Dogan, who's a nun. She goes into Syria, into Iraq, to the danger zones. She aids Christian women who their husbands was killed, massacred, slaughtered, the family victims, and goes and gives them encouragement and gives them money. So we give them money, and now we're trying to figure out a way. We have an extensive plan to bring in Christians out of the danger zone into an undisclosed area in the world.
Oh, good.
You're purchasing land, and it's a whole scheme.
Well,
it's a whole process.
God bless you. That is so wonderful. And again, let me just encourage our viewers and listeners. You may want to check out Walid's website, shoebat.com. Before I let you go, we are hearing of literally miraculous conversions of Muslims from Islam to Christianity. I mean, miraculous conversions, sometimes visions and dreams and things like that. And how dangerous are their lives now in light of these slaughterhouses being discovered when a Muslim converts to Christianity, even by miraculous means? They're well aware what that's going to cost them, but how threatening is it to their lives?
Well, the Quran sanctions killing any convert. It says very clearly in the Quran, فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَخُذُوهُمْ وَاقْتُلُوهُم. If they renege from the faith, take them and kill them. And so it is definitely death penalty. In fact, on the Tasalik, which is the manual Muslims take even when they immigrate to America, In it says, you must kill your own children. We had several cases in the U.S. in which, they call it honor killing. Honor killing is not about just it's not about just a girl having an affair. No. It's about anyone who dishonors Islam in any way, shape, or form is to be slaughtered. You have also the doctrine of muruna, which is another topic in which how the liquidities of Islam cover these things, and they are allowed to carry out killing and sanctioning prohibitions. In fact, in the Muslim Brotherhood theology, sanctioning prohibition is part and parcel of the theology. What does that mean? That means the 10 commandments, as we believe, can be sanctioned. It's no more prohibitions. Thou shalt not. It means thou can.
Wow.
For the sake of advancing the cause of Islam. Sanctioning prohibitions. This is a very serious thing. This means you can reverse all the theology. So we're dealing with a very diabolical, and it's Americans don't understand. What they're going to be seeing in the future.
Right.
Is like what happens during the Mayan dynasty of heart plucking and the whole thing. Apocalypto is not going to be a movie you watch. It's going to be a YouTube clip that you see live.
Right.
Or, and that's where we're heading towards in the Middle East.
Wow. Walid, thank you. I value our time. I know everybody wants you, and the time you've given to the Dove today is greatly appreciated. You're in our prayers and thoughts, and keep up the good work. I look forward to having you back often. And let me encourage you to go to his website. It's an incredible resource, Shoebat. Thank you, my friend. God bless you. Hang in there, okay?
Yes, sir. God bless.
Okay, God bless. We'll be right back.